Hello, yes, it's Salah Nasri here, and yes, I have a special announcement. The game of chips has just hit 5,000 orders on Amazon. Thank you to everyone who placed the order. The book was just released in December, so I'm very, very grateful and surprised to date. If you are someone who is intrigued, curious about how the semiconductor ecosystem works from beginning to where we are right now, this book was written with you in mind. So order it, read it, and it is pretty much a handbook of the whole ecosystem. In the meantime, enjoy the next episode and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. What has been the most challenging decision you've had to make in your career?
Leaving IBM, because you lived there 12 years, the longest in my career. You feel that it's time to make the next step. But at the end is you have to really kind of take bold decision and go. And that's what I did. The information of the morning is outdated by the afternoon, because the afternoon you have a new data. And that data is already kind of override the data in the morning.
Our guest today is Dr. Habib Hichri, Executive Vice President, Senior Fellow, Global Applications and Business Development at Ajinomoto Fine-Techno USA Corporation.
He has moved from deep technical leadership at IBM to shaping long-term materials strategy in advanced packaging. In an industry that operates under constant time pressure, his philosophy is simple to find the real problem.
Listen, learn, and experiment. Think, what if? I think it's time to give back. You lead by example. There is no winning for today, and then tomorrow, what you're going to do? It's a long-term relationship. Photonics, I think it's not there.
Why is it not happening?
If you define the problem, the solution, it's there.
What's interesting is that you moved from deep technical roles to management and executive leadership. What motivated that transition?
That's how the industry works.
Hello and welcome back to the Semiconductor Leadership Podcast. I'm your host, Salah Nasri, and yes, whether you are a semiconductor veteran or someone who's just curious about semiconductor manufacturing, this is your podcast. And yes, we've hit more than 200,000 views, yet only 3% of you is subscribed to this podcast. So do me that favor. Hit that subscribe button and click the share button, because at the end of the day, sharing is caring. So hit that subscribe button for me, and I promise you that I will bring the best guests in the industry for you to learn and get the guidance that you require for your career or for your team or for the industry as a whole. Now, as they say, it takes a village to raise a chip, and it also takes subscribers to raise a podcast. Now, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pleasure to have on the show a dear friend of mine, a mentor, an inspiration, as one would say. We're both from the similar area based on background. It is none other than Habib Hichri, who is the EVP and Senior Fellow of Global Applications and Business Development at Ajinomoto Fine-Techno USA. Habib, I hope I got that right.
Ajinomoto Fine-Techno is good, it's fine. No.
Welcome to the show, Habib.
Thank you, Salah. Thank you for having me here.
It's a great pleasure. Habib, before I start on the Semiconductor Leadership Podcast discussion with you, I think it's very important to understand about one's journey at the beginning. So based on your biography, you went from chemical engineering in Lyon to senior leadership roles through IBM and today Ajinomoto, which is a remarkable material supplier in our semiconductor community in the industry. Could you share a bit about your journey?
Salah, it's a pleasure to be with you today. And yes, I'm a chemical engineer, the engineer and also PhD in chemical engineering. And it's by coincidence, I started my career in the chemical industry. Worked on specialty chemical, petrochemical. I was installed in the site it was Buffalo. And it was cold. Buffalo, it is known for its snow, for its football, the Bills, and Sabres for the hockey. And I was chosen, also offered the opportunity with Occidental to do an MBA, Master in Business Management. And the coincidence is I was at the university, passing to the library to do homework, and I passed by a job fair for a student at the University of SUNY at Buffalo. And I entered by curiosity, and I passed by, I see other company, and I passed by IBM. And they were saying, person talked to me and said, what you do? I said, I'm a process engineer at Occidental Chemical. And he said, you would be interested to join IBM. I said, I was IBM and process engineer. I said, sure. He said, can you send me your resume? He said, I don't have it with me, so I will, once I go home, I'll send it to you. I get his business card. I send my resume. Right away, he said, tomorrow can come in for interview. I went back for interview, and I continue like the interview, and I forget about it. And it was like, it was in December, end of November, the beginning of December. And there was a snowstorm at that time. So I received an email from IBM and said, I hope I don't disturb you, and I hope I find you in a good, not stuck with the snow. I'm really interested in your background, and I want to have you to come in for an interview at IBM. And that's how the journey started at IBM. It was started in 2001 in Fishkill, East Fishkill. I was working on from really the process development in the chemical industry, reactor design, and also pilot work, and then also to install it into the startup, into the manufacturing, and also to commissioning the new plants. I move it into the semiconductor that is totally different. So the first few months is just learning. And the manager at that time, my manager, he was really curious because I was always on the fab. I go to the fab and curious to know what's going on. It's a totally different things. And so I very quickly I started learning from the different processes, and I see a lot of similarity of any process, how to develop process, either for CMP or the dry etch or the lithography. Especially lithography is a polymer. I worked before in the polymer. So that's how I started the career, is just curiosity, always want to learn, always open your mind to learn, always looking to excel, to really think outside the box. From the first year, I have almost 3 patents at IBM. It's just thinking about, always think about how to do things differently. I have that capability is always, I rewind at the end of the day, what has been done during that day and how you do it better next time. Is it really what I did? Is that right? Where are the things that I can improve? So it's just that rewinding, it always prepare me for the next day.
Marvelous. And, what initially drew you into semiconductor process integration? And then, of course, now you're pretty much heavily into advanced packaging now.
Exactly. So at IBM, I started as a really learning the processes. My job was to really the processes integration. What it is I look to all the steps for the processes. It was for the copper wiring after the device, after the transistor is done. There is the connection to the copper that later on it would be used to the packaging to connect to it and to connect to the transistor. So my job is to work on the different processes, and different processes for this is like deposition of the dielectric. Then just you have to measure to make sure that the thickness is on target. That you have to really work with the process and then do multiple deposition and then statistic analysis and on the thickness. Then you have to set up the SPC. Then you go through the lithography. You work with the lithography engineer. So what it needs to, from the mask design, you have to verify the design. Is it really fit? Is it really meeting what we are working on? Because there will be like a test vehicle that we work with. And after the lithography, you work with the etch. Lithography will print the circuit. The dry etch will transfer that circuit down into the dielectric. So I have to work with them to make sure that all the aspect of the circuit size and design has to be printed properly. And this is the job of process integration. You have to really control all that, work with engineer. If it doesn't fit, you have to go back with the engineer and say, we need to adjust this and adjust the process, maybe cut down on the time or increase the time to make sure you achieve the depth or improve the profile of the feature, like a via or a line. And also to look in the lithography, you have to look also the different prints, like there are isolated via or the line curvature. It has to be printed. It has to be printed properly, that there is no defect, because it will appear later on and it will be really kind of impact the yield or impact the final functionality of that of the circuit that you wanted to print. And after that, you really put the seed layer that to prepare for the plating. After the dry etch, you have to clean to make sure that all that has the aspect, the ratio of the via, the size. You have to do all the measurement and so on, and not even measurement on the equipment. Then you have to also pick one wafer and cross section to do the physical compared to what you measure, because you have to really compare, double check that the size of the devices are really meeting physically, they are meeting what you see on the microscope, or that the equipment, the measurement on the microscope they sees. So to confirm that, and you do multiple ones to every time in initial development, you have to pick every time to verify that your process is there. Once it's stable, you can pick after from one lot, one wafer, or after that it will be when it gets really you see that stability, then you will pick a random one wafer from one lot or two lots. So after that, you do also from a plating, and then you do the CMP, and the CMP you do inspect to the surface if there is no dishing or something that it will be also hindering for the next layer, and also you go to test it. All that circuit is really the electric passing through all the circuit. You don't have any shortage, you don't have any open that there or resistance because of the first layer on top, the layer on down. Because you have this via connecting entire layers, you have to make sure that the resistance is very low. There is no, because if it is high, it means like you have an issue that later on, if you increase the voltage, it will open, there is no connectivity. So all that learning from each process, because you work with the engineer, and you recommend some of this up to the engineer. So you will be like a cross-pollinate ideas to improve the process. So you learn for each step of the process, you work together in a teamwork. And that's it. Helped later on when I moved to the management, helped me how I can really, when they will be hiring engineers or how to hire an engineer. Engineer is not really look to the degree, but you look to how compatible with the team and how compatible with thinking outside the box, and how it will be like listening to others' ideas and respect the other ideas, and make sure that he listen to all the people to make a decision. And the semiconductor, the decision is fast. So you have to listen and also very quick to learn and to make the decision, because I say always when I was at IBM is a crisis mode. So from the day I entered to IBM to the day I left, it was always a crisis mode. That's how the industry works. The information of the morning is outdated by the afternoon, because the afternoon you have a new data, and that data is already kind of override the data of the morning. And after that, I really moved to work over a year or so into the photonics, like the lithium niobate, and then moved to the equipment for the packaging. I was really doing application and also business development for the excimer laser to make small via, which, my coincidence, now is actually the industry needed. But I was 10 years, I was evangelizing about the via, for small via, to use it with the non-photo material, because this is the difference. You do small via with the excimer laser or with the dry etch for material that is not photosensitive, because there are many other materials photosensitive that you can print with the lithography. But the difference is cost and also, some mechanical properties that you may see it into the non-photo material than in the photo material. And also there are other parameters that it plays later on, either in the yield or in the noise of the circuit or into the reliability.
So then how did you get into the world of advanced packaging in terms of the world of materials after? How did that happen?
So during the work with SUS, the 7 years, I was mostly really promoting the lithography and also the scanner and also the excimer laser for the advanced packaging, and attending conferences and listening to people. At the time, I'm coming from the front end. I'm new to this area, and I have the idea of the front end, and I can tell you, I have multiple discussion. When I discuss about the front end, the people will be like shocked. It's just no. You cannot do that in the advanced packaging. But I think more and more now you see a lot of acceptance, because the advanced packaging, or actually I can say the interposer size of the feature we are doing in the interposer, it's really getting closer to what I was working at IBM when I joined. It's crossing that, is getting to that level, is 1 micron and 2 micron. I was doing 2.5 micron, and sometimes the last layer it will be like 3 micron line and space, and 3 micron V. It's now they're talking 2 micron, and also some there also on the interposers. Sometimes maybe it's a 1 micron or so. It's actually is below to what I was doing in the front end. So the crossing is there, and I wanted to bring that learning from the front end. There are a lot of processes have been vetted and demonstrated that they are really they work well. Why not to apply in the advanced packaging? It's time. Yes, I know some people, they will say the cost. But I can tell you is we are achieving in a stage that we have, if you invest today, it will really scale down and you will be seeing the results on the long term. I'm talking here if the industry will invest into lithography and dry etch for the interposer and use material, non-photo material, and maybe it will be cheaper than the the photosensitive material and lithography. I think it's time to do that. And if you invest, you can really do from 5 micron line and space and or via, because the problem is not on the line and space. The problem is making the right size of the via. Right now is maybe you can achieve 7 micron using the laser CO2 or UV laser, but still the alignment is not there. Is using Galvo, you will be having ±7. So you still have a capture pad underneath it to be like 15. So at the end of the day, you are really working with a 15 micron via smallest. Then it's not. And then you do 2x2, you are not getting the full advantage of having a small feature if you are using non-photo material. Again, I'm really focusing on non-photo material. because I think I see that's the future for interposer, because it's a planarity, a mechanical, and also add to it is electrical properties. And next property, you don't have any noise, because if you have photo material, you may have a little bit of oscillation or not a planar. You may see some noise into your system.
So was it with regards to the awareness of actually how the capabilities of photomaterials, is that what made you just say, right, this is my next move to an extent? And how did that opportunity come to your table to say, right, Ajinomoto is the next stop after SUS?
So after SUS, during the time of SUS, I worked with Ajinomoto.
Okay.
Because they have the material, they have the ABF, is nanofilled ABF at that time, because that's what, and also there are some project with other companies. I am not cannot for confidentiality. So there is some interposer, and there is some supervision of interest. And I published papers with Ajinomoto to show that using non-photo material is possible for the interposer, for the 2.XD, and using excimer laser to make small V. And you can do the SAP to make the area, or you can use excimer laser to do dual dancing. And even I worked at the time, they said, oh, but you need CMP. And I worked with, reach out to some plating companies, and we demonstrated that we can do even dual damascene, bottom-up fill without CMP. And we published that. Is 6 to 7 years ago, into a magazine, into ACTC, and IMAPS, and all this, this big, really conferences for the advanced packaging. And since then, I was here hitting like end of 2019, beginning of 2020. SUS wasn't really doing well, and I felt like this is it gonna crash at any time, because the whole business is not really the excimer laser is a technology, is not really equipment, is not ready yet at that time, and SUS felt like this is not going well. So I contacted Ajinomoto, and I connected at that time is. The person I know was the president of the division that I am now in is Ajinomoto Fine-Techno in Japan. And he said, yeah, I would love to have you. And here we go. Is that president now, he's the CEO of whole Ajinomoto.
Wow.
Yeah. Mr. Shijo Nakamura-san.
Wow. It would be interesting to learn. I mean, during your time at IBM, I read the book, Only an Elephant Can Dance.
Yes, that's the CEO. When I joined the IBM, he was in the last few years of his legacy with
remarkable book. Really interesting. I was actually recommended in a last podcast with Christophe Malville, the CTO of Soitec. And when I read the book, it really, and then I realized how many of my dear friends and dear colleagues and peers in the industry all once were at IBM at one point. But what would be interesting is that during your 12 years, if I'm right or wrong, 12 years at IBM Semiconductor Research and Development Center, what would you say were like the most formative challenges you encountered?
So every time the technology for the front end is we have 2 years to bring the new technology, new node. So each node, 2 years, you have to bring a product. And I can tell you, the more the nodes are really decreasing, moving from, let's say it was when I joined as 135 and 90 nanometer, then 65 nanometer, then 45, then 32. So, and then also 32, then 16, 10, 14, and then 10. And so when I left IBM, they were on the 14 nanometer. So every time you move from a node to another, it seems very easy on paper, but actually challenging when you go into the manufacturing. I remember, I think during the early time when I joined, the designer, they design and they throw it to the process engineer. They can deal with it and they can print the lithography and everything. But I think at certain times, the lithography, it could not print certain feature like the round, like a line is rounding or turning, and they try different ways to print it, but the lithography capability cannot do. And that's where introduced at the time into the industry, the optical proximity correction. What it does, it's come into that corner of the line. It will add a space in the mask that optical correction, add in the mask that it will allow the mask that it will see it as in a printing, but when it goes to the lithography, to the resist, it print really what you really need it initially, because initially, if you don't do that, it will not print it properly. And further down, it was really very difficult for a process to print that design that coming from the design. So initially the designer, they don't talk too much with the process engineer. And I think I remember, if I'm not mistaken, maybe the people, my colleague or somewhere in IBM, I remember very well, I think is 45 or even before 65 or 45, designers start really to be involved with the process engineer. It means rather than design and send it through, you have to discuss with the process engineer, is it capable, is it your equipment be able to do this, to be print, especially printing, especially lithography. And that's where I think it becoming very imperative that the teams to work together, that the designer should be aware of what the capability of the equipment on the fab, and the engineer on the like running the equipment or developing the process has to be aware what the capability of that equipment, then feedback to the designer to make sure that the design is done properly to achieve to qualify the technology. If we really miss that, time is money, is constraint. So you have to really get that work ahead of time and work together to get what need to be qualified.
Needs to be done. What's interesting is that you moved from deep technical roles to management and executive leadership. What motivated that transition?
Initially, when I started, even first line manager, as a manager, you are really facilitate.
What is that?
You facilitate the work of your engineers, and you are not really there to control or for power. Management is not power. Management is a leadership, is a leader. And sometimes people, they confuse between a leader and a manager too. And a leader, because they see leader could be a technical leader, but you can find technical leader, but is not really technical leader for managing people, right? And vice versa. You can find somebody who really manage people and get the best out of them, maybe, and technically not really that to the bottom of it. It means like it's not really very what we call geek or something, right? So you have to have the both. You have to have really some here and there to be able to go deeper into the discussion with the engineers. But at the same time, you really also tap on the potential of each engineer by words, by encouraging, by coaching, by being there for the engineers, by standing up for them. And to guide them, then they will give you the best they have, because they see that you are with them, you are part of the team. You are not really standing up behind and say you are the team, and I'm flying high. So you have to be with them. You work with the team, and this is really the way I have been behaving all my career, is with the team. You are always with them. You lead by example. This is key.
And one thing that was interesting is that you earned an MBA, out of interest, how did earning your MBA influence your career?
It's always when you work on R&D, even your thinking or every time you think business, the R&D always influence your idea, right? But I think the MBA gives you really the view of what really your idea, maybe is good for you, but does it really matter for the market? How you connect your idea to what is the industry you are working on, or and the customer that they are into that arena, how you connect to them that your idea can be a good fit for them. So that's the really the link that it was missing. It was I love R&D, and always I still have the mind of always if I do something I wanted to think about it, and I have to look at it from different angle, how to do it differently, how to do it the best you can. It's not really you do the unicorn or spend a lot of time to do the best and everything. It's not lack of confidence, but it's you try to really address what's really the real problem, and address the real problem. It means defining what really the problem of you are wanted to solve. If you define the problem, the solution, it's there. And that's what really most kind of maybe engineers or organization missing is if you don't define the problem, you will never solve the problem. It's you defined. When you define it, the solution it's 1%. The solution is there. It's ready. But as long as you really know what's really the definition of what is really the problem, the real problem, not really a side problem, because what we spend time on is we think that this is a problem and go for it, and then come back and say, oh, it's not that one. So let's go again. And you will be like, if you can spend a lot of time spinning around and you don't solve, and that's time. Time is money. Because you didn't spend some time to define the problem. So that's the technical from the R&D plus the business education. It will give you you have to really think about what your customer needs and how to meet your customer, and how you listen. Always listen to the customer. Yeah. Don't customer is king. Still, maybe some companies they don't think that way. But I think, or service companies maybe, but I think your customer is king, and you have to listen to the customer and try to understand their concern and address it nicely and address it with professionalism to really solve their problem. And that's really part of the more MBA was focusing more. I took a lot of classes on strategic management, to really kind of to give you different ideas. And actually, just very quick is IBM situation in 1984 with when they crossed from they used to test the microprocessor from Intel in their computer, and in 1984 they make a decision to stop their Intel and do their own microprocessor from computer, and that's where Compact came in at that time. Compact, which compact computer. If you are
I remember.
It was born from that.
What?
And the struggle that IBM went through on moving to do their own microprocessor. It was a case study in Harvard School, and it was part of analysis I did during my MBA. So it was interesting.
Interesting fact. Didn't know that. So, I mean, look, you went from IBM, an American company, SÜSS Market, German, and Ajinomoto Fine-Techno, Japanese.
Yeah.
Obviously, there was a culture difference in every single company.
Absolutely.
What are the culture differences that you see? What in terms of just the company culture at IBM? And I'd love to hear the company culture at SÜSS and the company culture at Ajinomoto.
That's a tough question. Its company has its own culture, its own paradigm.
So if we had to describe one by one IBM company culture.
IBM, it was really the company that I learned a lot from how to innovate, think outside the box. I mean, IBM, it was the slogan or the motto for IBM, think. Even I think they still have a building in New York City, which is built on top of the doors, think. And that's SUS, it's really the refinement and execution. Japan is how to be really very the honesty with your customer and how to manage your customer with confidence and also with the honesty always with your customers. It means it's just this is what it is. No fear that I will be losing my customers. So and also the fact with Ajinomoto is not looking for to win today, looking for a partnership with every customer. This is really is a good learning for me. Is every customer is a partner, and every customer is special in its way. So you really kind of there is no look for taking advantage for customer A to win customer B. There is nothing. Every customer is very special. There is no winning for today and then tomorrow. What you're gonna do? It's a long-term relationship.
Let's talk about technology and innovation. Habib, you hold over 40 patents. You've got more than 75 publications. What's the driver for your passion for innovation?
So it's always think what if? What if I change this? Why is it like you use the experience through the years to look at the problem from different angle and provide different approach to solve the problem, because defining what the problem, and that's really most of the IP I have is finding the solution for defining a problem, and that solution is a patent. I remember one time is this what come in is for the I think the last two patent is and actually one of the patent of IBM I get prize because chosen one of the key patent of for IBM, and I get award of it, and that's is coming from like thinking how to deposit material that it will be really kind of to give you is scalable to the next generation, and to really answer the question of the dielectric constant and everything. And we propose with a team that if we do gradient deposition of the material, so you change the precursor and you can make a gradient from the start, you can have a material that it will be very solid to give you the adhesion and all of the stuff, and then you can gradient to make it the decay or the coefficient of that material decrease to give you performance that you needed for the microprocessor or for the circuit that you can design. And it was really very well, kind of that's how the award I get. But the latest patent, I think I remember one at SUS and one at Ajinomoto, is really based from a practice and thinking how to. One of that, with SUS is at the time working on how to fill the circuit bottom-up fill. But then when you see some of the circuit has really some pads, and some pads they have, we find actually during the experiment, is from 10 micron to 2 micron to 10 micron, you can fill it closer to the same rate almost. Higher than that, you may have really lower filling. So we was thinking how to solve that problem. So then you see the analogy is, okay, if you see the 2 micron is filling similar to 10 micron, if I come into this like a 20 micron, a 20 by 20 micron pad, if I wanted to fill it same thing as 10, what I will do? So we have in with a patent that if I put in on the bottom of it that small like a V's with the size of like a 2 micron or something, or 10 micron, then you can fill it the same way. So that's how that patent coming. It's just an analogy and thinking outside. If a 2 micron fits and everything, if I have larger, then I can make the whole thing is like 2 micron or something. And the other one is at SUSE is we thinking about how to do like a dry etch while not to really attack the surface. So we propose different hard mask to allow to the etch of our material with the dry etch without damaging the surface, and that's how come in like putting tinitride or tantalum nitride or something. As such, it's a very useful for to protect as a hard mask.
So going into the world of advanced packaging and materials, you've offered a book chapter on embedded and fan-out wafer-level packaging. What breakthroughs in advanced packaging excites you the most today?
I think the advanced packaging and really the breakthrough that is really very impressive right now is the chiplet design and also the heterogeneous integration, which allows you to really connect multiple chiplet. And actually it's a relief for the front end. I feel it like a relief for the front end manufacturing, rather than making a very large monolithic die. You can have it small, that it would increase the yield, and also decrease the probability from failure from any FM or anything foreign material that it will during the manufacturing at the front end. But what I also, and collecting the other devices from really mature technology is very helpful, because you don't need them at the highest or the latest technology, the latest node on the technology. So that's, I think it's, for me, I think is really the key breakthrough into this, the semiconductor thing.
And from your perspective then, where do you see the biggest material challenges as we move towards more heterogeneous integration?
The need always will be, I can see the need will be always on the low loss, but I think is in the future it will be multiple, and I can see it right now is different application requiring different material. And sometimes if you combine all the material on one, all the parameter into the one material, it's really, that's the highest challenges, because it's not obvious to really collect 3 to 4 parameters that sometimes they are against each other. Okay, if you increase one, you decrease one, you increase the other one.
Right.
And so this is where the challenge that what really the expertise of our team is put to the challenge in Japan, how to resolve this problem. And that's, I think, where the focus of our team in Japan to develop really the state-of-the-art material for the future, while taking into account that, hey, this is what the industry needs, but how to go step by step to provide the next really material that it meets the application. Because now there are a lot of really application needing, just these parameters like CTE. It's focus on CTE. Some they focus on the CTE is the coefficient for thermal expansion, and other they focus on the material loss, and some they focus on also the material dielectric constant, and some they focus on all of them together, and also they want also some modulus has to be changed, elongation has to be changed. So is a lot of really some parameter like an example. Elongation versus CTE, they against each other. If I increase the elongation, I have to increase the CTE,
right?
So the coefficient of thermal expansion. So we we are really that's where I think the challenge in the future, how to manage to deliver these materials for the industry.
Looking at the ecosystem leadership as it's getting busier, and then you're very busy with voluntary leadership positions as well. You have you're involved in IMAPS, you're involved in IEEE EPS, you're involved with INEMI, you're involved with us at ISIG. Why did you put so much effort in supporting all of these associations?
I think it's time to give back, and to really, I wanted this organization to be successful, because that's will drive the industry in general, but also that it will really give opportunity for the younger people to learn from it, and also take the challenge from me or others in the coming years. I mean, we are not here for long. Nobody is here for long. And we wanted to give to others, that to lead by example always, and to make sure that this organization, they are really successful, because that's what our industry needs. And if the industry is successful, there are more employment for engineers and more innovation to drive,
So talking about that in terms of trends and collaborative initiatives that you're working on, which of them do you generally believe will have the greatest impact on in the industry in the next 5 years and onwards?
Which industry?
In our industry, in the semiconductor industry, looking at the trends and the collaborative initiatives that you are involved in, which ones do you feel that is going to have the greatest impact in the industry for the next 5 years and onwards?
I think a few things, but I think the first one I will think of is how to really integrate the photonics into the package. Thus, it will really tremendous things. I mean, right now, the AI is really using a lot of energy.
Yeah.
But I think we are in the yellow, close to the red for energy consumption. Okay, maybe certain places in the red. But I think that's where I think we have to really the collaboration and and from the different stakeholder to solve the issues and how to integrate the photonics. And actually, it's coming. I see some potential companies, they bringing that into the market. That's, I think, the biggest really breakthrough. It will be there. The second is really, from me, I can see that I can see it is really very lucrative and very important for the industry. Is I wanted to see really the interposer using nanofilled ABF, and they will see the advantage, because right now maybe I know some companies they work on it and they see a huge advantage, but I think I wanted to see it on product, and hopefully in the near future it will be. But that's it requires really, as you say in your things here, it requires people to make a village, or what you say,
to raise a chip.
Yeah. So I think it needs effort from different perspective, working with some of the tool vendor, and also with companies that they are with substrate, to really meet that aspect or solve this barrier, and to implement or to adopt non-filled ABF for the interposer. And I think it will be a really huge add to the industry. With the photonics also, you're needed, and we are involved. Ajinomoto is involved in both of them. With the photonics, we wanted to provide the best material for the polymer, is a best polymer way, guys, that it meets the industry needs, from reliability, from really the loss at the coupling, and so on. So that's, I think, is really part of Ajinomoto strategy, but also I see them as part of because they are industry breakthrough, that it would change the industry.
And giving back, as you mentioned, there might be some young engineers can't have the fortune to access Habib Hichri. But for those that are listening, that are looking to get involved in our industry, what advice would you have for them?
Listen, learn, and experiment. Be hands-on. Be courageous to really kind of get the job, and also get your hands dirty with what you can do. And if you are really good in design, get into the design and change the way how a design is made. If you are good in a process development, get into the process development and ask around and ask for learning, and also have really ways to either internship or even companies to propose even to work for a few months for free just to learn. Because if you are passionate about something, you have to sacrifice sometimes, right?
Yeah. What would be interesting to ask you as well is, as in your role, managing global applications and business development at Ajinomoto, I'd be intrigued to learn from you is that how do you balance long-term materials development with immediate customer demands that you're having today?
The immediate customer now, they are using some of the material that we developed, let's say, 2 years ago. Right? And also maybe some, they still use material developed 25 years ago and 20 years ago. Legacy material, they're still going on. They're still shipping. I think what we have is we always keep an eye on what the industry trend is, and what the needs of the customer, meeting also periodically with our customer to see what their needs are, and also feeding that to the R&D team, and developing the material and having the team aware of where things are going, and preparing for the material that it will be ready in 2 years or next year or in 27 or 28. We are still kind of, And every time we develop material, we get the learning from that to be applied to the next generation of material. So it's just we work with our customer now, and shipping, we always want to meet their goals from a shipping material, because that's once it's developed and accepted into the fab, it means it will be more of shipping, right, of really meeting the needs. And that's really kind of, we have very a capable team to meet the needs and shipping on time. But the development continue to develop new material and work with our customer to test and provide that properties and for their simulation to see if that's really what they're looking for. And also testing it from a different aspect and the process with the partner to make sure that the material is also that is plug and go, because that's what really also Ajinomoto is doing with the substrate supplier. Substrates are really very sensitive in changes. So we always try to develop the material that they will do the least changes into their processes when they implemented it.
I see. Habib, what has been the most challenging decision you've had to make in your career?
Challenging decision to make is, leaving IBM.
Leaving IBM.
It was tough because you lived there 12 years, the longest in my career. So it was tough because the learning you get and the brain you work with, but at the same time, you feel that it's time. It's time to make the next step. So it was really kind of, and I have good friends and everything. It was tough but at the end is you have to really kind of take bold decision and go. And that's what I did.
What accomplishment are you most proud of?
Accomplishment? Multiple accomplishment. I really contributed to a lot of technologies at IBM that was very successful, very money-making for IBM. And also the patent I have done. Then, I mean, everything I did, I'm proud of it. Everything. I can look back to anything I did. Either the smallest things, I'm proud of it.
We've reached nearly the end of the podcast, and I'd like to play a game with you. It's called the rapid fire round. So I'm going to ask you some questions, and I want you to answer as fast and as simple as possible.
Okay.
Ready?
Ready.
What's the first word that comes to mind when you think of advanced packaging?
Heterogeneous integration.
Patents or publications, which excites you more?
Patent.
Favorite part of working in semiconductor materials?
Meeting people.
The one technology trend you think is overhyped?
Maybe nothing really. Everything has its own application, but not too much. Yeah.
Okay. And one that's not getting enough attention?
Photonics.
Really?
Yeah. You know what's... I want to really clarify that. It's really a problem because the photonic industry is really growing in its way. And the semiconductor packaging is growing in this way and crying for photonics. But to date, there is no cross-pollination of their idea, of the both, that they can sit together and come up with a solution, that manufacturable solution that works for everything. I think it's not there.
Why?
Because there is that domain where they can cross-pollinate it doesn't exist.
Why doesn't it not exist? Why is it not happening?
Because they never really, I don't think anything to marry them together, to mash them together, or to have a conference, to have both of them, they talk to each other. I didn't see it so far. Very, very, very few.
You've given me an idea now that I can execute on it. You just gave me another division to build. That's actually a very good point. I know we met for the first time this year. We only talk to each other normally on LinkedIn, but I met Jose Pozo, the CTO of Optical. He's an exciting guy. Yeah, he's a character. And he's basically, they say he's like the replication of myself in the photonics world. But I met him and we were talking about this. How do we put this together? So when we were at the SPIE Photonics West event, and early this year, and we were going around, he was bringing certain companies and asking them, what do you think of putting our show's semiconductors and combining it with Optical's photonics initiative?
I do love it.
And they were saying, the actual players in the photonics were saying, no, we'll feel uncomfortable to be around the semiconductor community because we would need to learn more from them about what's going on.
But you can see the other side is the same thing. They want to learn
from the other side as well.
Yeah.
And I recall at our summit in April, if there was one session I'll never forget, was that photonic panel discussion.
Yes, you see, it was very successful because everybody listening and everybody learned something.
And then it was writing, and it was silence and full focus.
And you know what, and the outcome of it?
Oh, yeah. $5 billion acquisition.
0.6 billion.
5.6, 3 point. Some say 3.5, some say 5.6. It's billions came out of it. That's one of the reasons why there should be a partnership.
Absolutely.
And combining it. What's your go-to productivity ritual before starting your day?
Just think about what's things that go back through very quick through what I left yesterday, and think about what can be done better, and what can be done the next steps, what will move forward the next steps. And also one item is always working with IBM. It's also, I think the influence of that is don't procrastinate, don't leave things behind. Everything has its very quick time. Everything it has is a crisis sometimes. So do not lose facts that things are really, if you don't answer, I always try my best to answer customer timely, because it's very important, because I know what my customer may be really going through, and to answer them timely is very important. I feel that it's very important for them because I have been there.
If you weren't in semiconductors, Habib, what field would you be in?
I will repeat exactly the same thing.
You are only semiconductors. Only semiconductors. Oh. PhD or MBA, which one was harder?
Each one has its own thing. PhD has you really time, and also you have to really solve. You have a project. You define what the problem, again. That's what you learn from PhD, is define a problem and provide solution, and then test the solution and prove that the solution is that solution. If you don't demonstrate that, then it means your PhD didn't learn anything. But for the MBA, it's really understanding a lot of that finance, and also what the impact from finance, plus how to approach customer, how to do your marketing, for example, or the difficulty is like sometimes is reading the. For me, when I started my MBA, is reading the sheets for the finance and how to make sense out of it. Yeah. It was initial, but later on, it becoming like obvious what you look for.
What's the best career advice you've ever received?
Learn network.
One misconception people have about semiconductor packaging.
Oh, it's easy.
Far from. The semiconductor tool you find most fascinating?
Semiconductor
tool.
It's always the lithography equipment is always fascinating, because there are multiple of them, but the technology itself it's really interesting. Either you print small or large, especially when you go smaller and smaller, you can see the magic of the lithography.
Fan in or fan out? Pick one.
Fan out.
What's your favorite conference to attend? No comment. Of course, thank you. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
The one book that influenced your life?
I read a lot of history books, and I read about Hannibal of Carthage, not Hannibal the rest of. And that's it gave me like stratagem is the most powerful stratagem for wars and everything. But it's I learned from that is the strategy, how to really think ahead of your others and how to be like to distinguish yourself. Really, it was very eye-opening. But I read in other books. The other one book is still I remember it is the Silk Road. But
Silk Road,
yeah. But I mean, when you look at it, you read it, and then you think about what's really going on now. It's exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
It's like the history repeats itself, but we are not paying attention to it.
Say, history doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes.
Yeah.
That's the methodology. Which invention or patent of yours are you most proud of?
I think most all of them. I think I did actually, even in the chemical industry. I did a few patents. I remember making the PVC with the supercritical CO2.
Okay.
That was really high pressure, because remember, to make CO2 a critical and a supercritical CO2, it means like liquefied CO2.
Right.
Is you have to be at high pressure 37 bar or something. And I did the reaction and make the PVC under the CO2. And it was really interesting because I felt like, hey, maybe it will offer another aspect of not to pollute, but you have to really make a circuit to recycle CO2 to compress it and use it. And if there is, and you purify it from any monomer that coming, not reactor or something. But that's one, remember, from the chemical industry. From the semiconductor, I think I talked to you about the gradient deposition of material. It was very interesting.
If you could collaborate with any historical person, who would it be?
I think historical.
Could be a scientist, could be a politician, could be a business owner, could be an entrepreneur.
In the past or
in the past, yeah.
I would love to meet Ibn Khaldun.
Tell me more.
Ibn Khaldun is born in Tunisia, and then wrote the introduction. It was a book.
And the book was just called Introduction.
Yeah. And but he really he was the father of the sociology. And at his time, and still to date, he's the father of sociology. And he wrote a lot but he was a lot of things you learn from his book. I have it actually. I can provide it to you, but it's just translated to English, and actually they teach it in English and in French, and it was very, 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 very interesting. The other book I read also is about Omar Khayyam.
What was that about?
Omar Khayyam was really a multidisciplinary guy. He was really astrologue, means like astronomy, and also historian, mathematician, you name it, and also poet. And he lived traveled during in Isfahan and all in Persia, and I was very impressed by his book. And the other author I read a lot of him is a Lebanese writer, Amin Malouf. He lives in Paris, in France. I think he's still alive, but I read most of his books.
Okay. Most memorable moment from your IBM R&D days?
Oh, it's just solving problems or like an issue, and going to the fab initially, and also later on, just to really look to the cross-section and solve what the issue. It was always there will be, and it's very exciting. It will be to solve a problem and sitting with people and trying to find a solution.
A habit you think everyone in this industry should develop?
Curiosity and learning, and also being really team player, and network and work with and respect the others.
Materials challenges that keep you up at night?
Not really. I don't.
3 words to describe the future of semiconductors. 3 words.
Brilliant, I think, is potential, high potential, a lot of growth, and a lot of innovation. Innovation, growth, and potential. Of course, challenges always.
Challenges definitely out there. If you had to give one sentence of advice to the next generation of industry leaders, the next VP level, the next CEOs, what would it be?
Listen to your customer, innovate, think outside the box to innovate, and network.
So the same advice you give to a young engineer
is the same thing, because at the end,
for the leader as well.
Yeah, because you will be leading by example.
A last question is, one company you think people should pay more attention to?
Google.
Oh, really? Do you think people are paying attention to Google?
No. I think maybe they feel like Google is, it will not, but I think Google, AWS, maybe Microsoft, they will change. They are in the way of changing what really we know about the AI. The next things in the AI is not really about the chip. It's not about the software. It's about the system integration.
Right.
And you will see more and more, if there is the competition in the future it's all centered about the system integration.
Habib, that's the rapid fire question done. And the last question for the podcast now to wrap it up is, what legacy or long-term impact do you hope to leave in the semiconductor and especially the packaging community that you're heavily involved in?
I think if there is any legacy is positiveness, being positive, work with multiple people and respect everybody of their opinion. Wrong or right is not my judgment on them. Is everybody has his own, free to do their own opinion, and the integrity. This is very important. Honesty and integrity. That's key for anything you can do. That's the things that you leave behind.
Do you think that's lacking in our industry?
I don't know, but for me, that's very important for me, for personal things. For me, if you ask me what I will leave behind me, is the integrity and the honesty.
Respect.
Everybody can live whatever they want. That's for me.
Habib, thank you for joining us on the Semiconductor Leadership Podcast. It's been a pleasure to have you on the show.
So thank you so much. It's really appreciated. And frankly, they sent me this question, but I didn't read them. But so much.
It's better that way. The spontaneous is the best way forward. And maybe 50% was us and 50% was innovative on my side. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on the Semiconductor Leadership Podcast. I'm your host, Salah Nasri. If you want to get in contact with Habib, you can reach out to him on his LinkedIn profile right here. It should pop up any moment, and you can connect with him live and direct. As I say, if you enjoyed the show, hit that subscribe button and also click that share button. Sharing is caring, and like I say, it takes a village to raise a chip, and it takes subscribers to raise a podcast. Thank you again. Thanks for joining in, and I look forward to seeing you at the next episode. Take care, and bye for now.